Got it.
So before we do intros, let me just tell you that if you've come to this session to learn about how to do Zoom operator training or how to operate Zoom for effective meetings, you're going to be sadly disappointed. For most of you, you should have got an email from me earlier this week, just giving you a link on how to use Zoom. There was great training earlier this month on operator training. So in our session, we got the link there as well as the password. You can watch a recording for it. It also has links for a checklist on how you should set up Zoom before you do a session. And then the presentation slides from that presentation can also be found there. So we will be recording the session, just to let you know, as we don't have any youth on board. And it just makes it accessible for all of you to go back and see again. So with that, let me hand over to my cohort here and let her introduce herself.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Karen Dyke, and I am a mom of an Eagle Scout from 2013. I have been an adult leader. I started with my son's troop, number 609, Troop 609 in Aptos in 2008. And I was been advancement chairman and committee chair. And then in 2019, I was asked to join the Loma Prieta District Advancement Team as the advancement chair. And so I jumped on board, and it's been a wild, fun ride ever since. I have chosen to stay involved in scouting because it's a program that I believe in. I've seen what it has done for not only my son, but the other scouts that I have worked with. And I want to be able to give back to others. Doug, what about you?
So my name's Doug Breckenridge. I was a scout as a youth, so went through both Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts. Got up to life, and then at 15 decided too busy with school and work and all those things and left. And I re-engaged with scouting as an adult. I have 4 boys. Well, now it's 3 men, 1 boy. 2 of them have eagled out. One was life. One's right now a second-class scout. But I've been an adult leader for next year will be 20 years. So I've done everything from den leader to scout, Cub master, committee chair for a pack, scout master to a national jamboree troop, committee chair, assistant scout master, all those things. And currently, I am the district commissioner for the Loma Prieta district. So with that, let me find out a little about you. So if I get everyone, you don't have to come off audio, but if you can come off video so I can see hands go up in the air, just to get a sense of who our group is today. If you just come off for just a minute, if you want to go back, that's fine later. Let me take a look at our group here. Give it a couple more seconds here for the people that are there. Great, yep, good to see the happy faces. Okay, so how many are involved currently with Cubs? Just give me hands up. Okay, good. That's a large part of our group. How about scout troops? BSA scout troops? Just okay, a couple. How about anybody who got venturing out there today? Okay, and I don't see anybody from our ship, so that's okay. So, okay, good. How many of you, just keep that open right there. How many of you have, before this meeting, participated in a Zoom meeting? Just raise your hand with the technology using Zoom. Okay, that's everybody. That's what. How many of you have run a Zoom meeting? So you've actually been the operator having to do all the back. Okay, that's about half of us. I know there are other technologies out there. We'll talk a little bit about them. Has anybody ever been in a breakout room in Zoom? Okay, so just a few of us. Great. And then how many of you have attended a virtual unit meeting? So that could be a den, pack, patrol troop. You've actually gone to a unit meeting. And how many of you have hosted a unit meeting? Okay, so good. That's a fair group there. Okay, great. So if you want to go back off, you can, or you keep your video open if you want. What I wanted you to start with is just ask, why are you here today? You know, what questions do you have? And I'm going to try to capture some of these here. So what kind of questions do you have? So raise your hand, come off your mute, and Karen or I will kind of pick one of you out. In fact, Karen will probably pick you out. You can also put it in the chat window if you want.
Yeah.
But why are you here today?
This is Greg. I've attended a few online type den meetings and such, and you know, it's a little hard to keep the kids engaged. And I was just hoping to come and get some best practices from people on how they do that, because it's just a little bit different than being in person.
Sure.
Even if you have good content, a good project, or something to work on, it's still sometimes hard to keep the younger Cub Scouts, you know, engaged for more than a few seconds at a time.
Yeah, okay, very good.
In the chat window, Doug, that seems to be the same question. Amber writes, how do we keep scouts engaged? Guido asked, just wanted to make the Bear Den meetings interesting.
Okay. Any other questions or reasons why you're here?
Any creative ideas on how you can meet certain adventure requirements that would normally take a group to do face to face?
Got it. Yeah. So the adventure requirements.
How to keep scouts wanting to participate via Zoom is the question that Beth has.
Okay, that's once again kind of a scout engagement. Scout engagement.
Trina writes, ideas.
That we have actually thousands for you.
Yeah, there you go. Paul writes, looking for ideas for crafts subjects for virtual PAC meetings. Mona writes, ideas, best practices for PAC meetings as well.
Okay. Okay. Any last ones? I'll just one or two more if you have them. Okay, great. No, that's a great list, and it's not very different from what we had last time with with our other group as well. Let me ask just a couple. Oops, go ahead.
Sorry, Amber writes, we have a large pack of 70 to 90 scouts.
Yeah, I agree.
And Phil, it is hard to manage this group.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll in fact, I mean, when Karen's presenting, we'll talk a little bit more about PACs, because it is a challenge with PACs to keep them. Den meetings has worked before pretty well, some of you have seen, but Karen, it might be because we have a smaller group today, we can spend a little bit more time talking about PACs. There are, of course, other platforms, and I didn't want to discount those. Let me just get hands here to see what other kind of platforms you're using. I know there's Skype, there's Teams, there's Hangouts. Any other platforms being used by people for their meetings?
8x8.
8x8, okay. I haven't used that. I've heard of it.
8x8 meets is what she says.
Meets, okay.
A meet, yeah.
Okay.
Google Meets.
Zoom.
Okay, good. So we kind of covered this. We're talking about what's not working well, and we'll get back to that. But let me ask, what is working well? What has virtual meetings, what has happened during your virtual meetings that makes it work well?
Games.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me okay? I have issues. Oh, yeah. The dens and I got our second graders together. They just enjoy seeing each other and interacting with each other. And I think that's so cool, you know.
Okay. So it sounds like you're breaking. It sounds like you're breaking up. But did you say that, you know, just the fact that they have the chance to interact with one another is very positive?
Yep. Okay.
What else is working well with the meetings?
Games is what Ramona writes.
Okay.
Anna writes activities where kids can participate. Sorry, I don't talk very much. Activities where kids can participate at the same time, like games.
Okay. Anything else that's working well?
We're able to do opening ceremonies pretty well, Cub Master minutes pretty well, giving out awards virtually pretty well. And then if we have forward planning, the distribution of items for crafts or patches and stuff like that. Things kind of go off the rails though when we try to do skits or singing and we have kids unmuting, all at once, stuff like that. But for the most part, it works.
Okay, yeah, excellent. So opening, closing, Cub Master minutes.
Patches and awards. Amber writes, at the end of the Den meeting, we have been playing Scrabble.io. At the second graders are loving it, she says.
Okay, so that kind of
I
falls into games here.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that game.
It's Scribble.
Scribble.io.
I haven't played it. I have heard of it.
I've not heard of it.
Okay. Anything else? My next question was what's not working well, and I did get that kind of in our beginnings. With what do you expect, but and I see right here about Scoutmaster conferences, sign-offs, weekly patrol meetings work well. Okay, private rooms also works well. What is there anything else that isn't working well? I mean, we had the engagement earlier, which a number of you brought up. I heard songs and skits sometimes have difficulties just because you have people talking over one another. Anything else that's not working well? Okay, so I'm gonna pause with that right there. Let me get back to our happy presentation here, and let me hand over to Karen, and Karen's going to take you now through the agenda and get our program going.
All right. So today we're going to just start off the time with some basic reminders. I gave you some prep for Cubs and Scouts. We're going to give you some program ideas, as well as we're going to end on some takeaways and a bunch of other fun things in between time. So starting off with some basic reminders. A cyber chip is required for all Cubs and Scouts. I put the link in there for you. If your Scouts are not up to date on the cyber chip, I would just make sure that that is happening for them. And it needs to be renewed every single year. There's age appropriate videos and stuff to watch. So make sure that that's all up to date. Make sure that your YPT is up to date and that you still need 2 deep leaders, even on Zoom. And that includes your breakout rooms. I saw that, Amber, you were meeting with Scouts one-on-one, but there still needs to be 2 leaders in that meeting. And if a leader is not available, then a parent must be in view of the camera at all times. So those are just some basic reminders that are covered in that Zoom training. And lastly, just no recording whatsoever of any of the youth meetings.
So just for clarification, then it's the minimum would be a registered leader, but if there's another parent involved, it's okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. We for sure have parents on calls for that reminder. Good. Yep. Good. So meeting principles. So for the Scouts, just like regular meetings, the Scouts should run the meetings. That includes the troop meetings, your patrol groups, your PLC. The EDGE method really works here. I've seen it work really well in my patrol. It's where the older Scouts are leading and teaching basic skills to all the Scouts. And make it fun. It should be fun. Be creative. The sky is the limit right now. There are so many things that are available at your fingertips that haven't been available up to now. People are getting creative as well. Meeting principles for Cubs. Unlike the Scouts, the adults should run the meetings. That's dens and packs. And And lastly, have fun. Make it fun. If you make it fun and engaging, then your scouts are going to be fun, have fun, and be engaged as well. So, Doug? So we kind of covered this a little bit, what we've been doing at your meetings, right?
You want me to bring that back out there? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So what have you guys been doing at your meetings? Oops, sorry about that.
We in our DEN meetings, we've been pretty much following what we do in normal meetings. It's pretty heavily focused on adventure requirements that we're able to do. Even some we thought we weren't able to do. We tried doing a bear adventure on carnivals, the bear and grin.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's meeting your requirements, adventure and otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What about some other people? What have you been doing at your meetings?
I think creativity is really just the key right here, is taking some of those things and being creative and finding ways that you could do it virtually.
I did have it, and I recorded earlier crafts.
We had second graders do an elective that we all voted on.
So an elective,
they built recyclable they boat without their recycled material. Elective for our bears or for our wolves.
uh-huh.
And we made boats out of recycled wood.
Okay. Anyone else?
Actually did our cyber chip as well. We watched the video.
You're breaking up a little bit, Amber. It's hard. We're trying to catch what you're saying and write it out. Bridging ceremony. Somebody did a bridging ceremony? That's awesome. Pack 457 also did an online.
The bridging one. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything else out there? Just want to get a sense of what you're doing. Okay. Back to you, Karen.
All right. So I know that I've been struggling, to find creative ideas, and I just went out there the other day and I Googled Zoom, Scout Zoom ideas. And one of the things that popped up for me, and I thought I shared it with our Scoutmaster and our ASMs, is this digital Jeopardy game. And this is already created for you. There's nothing you need to do, just pop it all in. This particular one is on knots and lashing. You can divide it up between your patrols or your teams. I don't know, say, Greg, why don't you choose a window here?
Let's get naughty.
Let's get naughty
For
300?
Yeah.
All right. So if you click on that, it gives you the question, one of the most commonly used binding knots.
Not my specialty.
Yeah, not mine either. I was all like, okay, Greg, tell us that most commonly used binding knots. But if you click on it again, voila.
The clove hitch, of course.
The clove hitch. There's the answer. And that's what I love about this, is that
this is fun. Yeah, it's neat.
The questions are built in there and the answers are there. You don't have to recreate the wheel. It is all there. Jean writes that they did that for their scouts. So, what do the stars represent on the American flag? The 50 states. Woohoo. This is really cool. I thought this was brilliant. There's 3 of them right there. There might be more, but there's some for first aid, some for knots and lashings, and then Scout Trivia is also on there. I believe that there's also a blank board that if you wanted to create your own, you could. So some other digital game ideas is, and actually this is not even a digital game idea. This is Simon Says. Again, you know, you've had your meeting, you've gone over some knots. There are some great videos out there of some animated knots that just take you right through it, that you just follow the screen. And Doug's troop recently did this with a Webelos night that they did. And it was a Simon Says game. Do you want to touch on that real quick,
Yeah,
Doug?
sure. So, I mean, Weebles were visiting a troop, and they were working on knots, and visiting, of course, was a virtual visit, just like this. And we had the SPL up there at the end saying, okay, let's play Simon Says. And so, you know, Simon Says, show both ends of your rope. Put your rope down. And of course, you put your rope down, you're out. Okay, now tie the first part of a square knot, the first step of the square knot. They would tie it. Simon Says, or after Simon Says, show that so they could see how they were doing on it. And then once again, Simon Says, finish the square knot. So they would show that on screen for that. And with the scouts, it also forced our older scouts to really be able to look at the knotties quickly to see that they could identify it, make sure it was done properly. But it was a great time with the kids, just having fun doing this. So you can take, you know, standard kinds of things you do at a regular either pack or den or patrol or troop meeting, and just once again, how do we make that virtual? Yeah.
Awesome, thanks. Another digital game idea is Kahoot. I'm sure that many of your troops have been playing that. I know that our scouts love it. If we have some time in a little bit here, we're going to play a game of Kahoot, because what adult doesn't like to participate, right? And then lastly, give time to socialize before and after. The boys are really meeting, the boys and girls are missing meeting with one another. And so just to be able to get on to gab beforehand or gab afterwards is important, to allow time to be able to do that. All right. So one of the things that our troop really did, recently did, was a virtual campout night. And these are pictures from our, some of our scouts. We had about 8 scouts participate. And the scouts met beforehand and they wanted to focus on some cooking skills. And so the ASM, if you go on to the next slide there, Doug, set up some virtual campout schedule. They had some designated login times and what needed to happen during that login times. When we send you this this PowerPoint presentation, this schedule is going to be in there, that if you wanted to have copy or to be able to refer back to it. So again, there was some virtual, some login times. You know, one last thing that I just seeing and highlighted right here off to the side was, as a reminder that as speaking as advancement person right now, a virtual campouts at this point in time do not count toward the camping merit badge, but they do count for rank requirements. So as you're doing your virtual campout nights, just keep that in mind. And then this last slide right here just gives you an overview of the skills and the different rank requirements that the scouts were able to be signed off on. So this is just a really fun idea. The scouts are missing camping, they're missing getting out, and they're missing doing things. And so to make these things available for them is really important. All right. Next slide. Okay. Our council recently held a virtual campfire night on May 9th, and I was going to look for the newest one. I saw that there's one coming up in August, but I didn't get the date of that. I think it's the first Saturday in August that they're going to be doing another virtual campfire night, taking advantage of these programs that the that are already out there and available. You know, why recreate the wheel when you can do something like this and make it fun?
Karen, that's August 1st. Janice says it's August 1st at 4 p.m.
Okay, August 1st, good. Good for being on it. National had a virtual national camp-in night. And I know that several of our scouts participated in that. And if you participated, you have the opportunity to purchase this cool looking patch. And what scout doesn't love a cool patch, right? Our troop recently did a talent show. One of the scouts asked if they could share what they're doing. And so we just made a day where the scouts were sharing their skills. Maybe it was Taekwondo or some Tai Chi or whatever it was. They were sharing their arts and everything. And that was really fun to be able to see what the scouts are into. Right now, all of our summer camps have been canceled, but there are a ton of virtual summer camps out there. They're all right there if you're at your fingertips. If you Google it, BSA virtual summer camps, you can go anywhere in the United States and take advantage of their virtual camp out nights. I also recently saw another troop. I sat in on their meeting and they were having a Dutch oven cook-off. I mean, you couldn't taste the food, but at least you could see what they were making and stuff. And the scouts were excited to be able to show that they had cooked dinner for their family. That was really cool to see. If you got your scouting wire, which was the email that all the leaders get, I saw yesterday that they're having a family fun fest night on August 8th, and this is going to be on Facebook Live. So be sure to check that out and take advantage of that with your scouts. It looked like a lot of fun. All right.
Hey, Karen, we had a great question here from Diane, which is, where do you find the rules for what can fulfill rank requirements with things like camp nights?
You were breaking up there, Doug. I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. Where did we define those rules?
I apologize. Let me.
That's
exactly.
Where did we find the rules? What can fulfill the rank requirements for camp nights? There weren't really rules that we found. We just found creative ways to fulfill those rank requirements.
Well, no. Let me restate that. I think I understand it differently. So, you know, for example, for scouts, your camp nights, your virtual camp nights cannot count towards a camping merit badge, but it can count to your rank requirements, say second class or first class scout. So those, they were posted on the Scouting at homepage with a link. I'm actually going to show you that later. So we'll, if I'm fortunate, I'll find that right link there for you.
I know
if you ever have a question about that, please reach out to your commissioners.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, or your advancement person. I know that because of the council advancement team meetings that we're having. So definitely be in touch with your advancement person for your district as well as your commissioner. All right, did we skip a page, or did I skip a page here? All right, so one of the things that I found in searching around for some cub ideas was armpit fudge. I mean, doesn't that sound just like a cub idea? But I thought not just for cubs, I thought this would be a great idea for scouts. I put the link in there for you, how to do it. It gives you all the ingredients and to give you some. Again, this is for in-person scout meetings, but you know, you can create it, change it around and make it virtual wherever all the scouts are making their armpit fudge online. Also, as I was scouting around on this particular link, Cub Scout Ideas, there was a lot of other great ideas available right there for Cub Scout meetings. Some other fun ideas are some virtual field trips. Again, as I had mentioned earlier, the world is at your fingertips right now. I was reading that the Louvre in Paris was giving some virtual tours, and the Monterey Bay Aquarium here in Monterey was also doing some virtual things. Be looking for those ideas. The scouts really love to do those kind of things. Scavenger hunts are a great thing for the scouts to do, to have a list of ideas of things that the scouts, go look for this, and the scouts go out to their house and look for the item, and then they come back, and the first one back gets the point, or whatever, however you choose to work it. And again, show and tell, which is a lot like the talent show kind of thing. So be creative and have fun. All right. Doug?
Let me just add a few more things, because, for me, I think that the hardest thing is, and Karen and I have been very fortunate, part of our role, we're both commissioners, is we sit in on a lot of these meetings. And what we've seen happening is it starts to get the same kind of format every time. So it becomes a little bit boring for the scouts. And add that on when we think about coming to the fall here, we're not sure how much we'll be able to meet in person. The kids are just in Zoom all the time. And so that's why suggestions like we saw that socializing before and after and just letting the kids talk is a great thing to do, just so you can reconnect, something different than out of school. And if you stop and think about it, whenever you're doing any kind of meeting with the kids, you can't do the same thing all the time anyway. You've got to mix up the way you do this. It's just a little bit more challenging from the virtual world. But I wanted to point out some resources we have. And if you haven't used these resources before, I strongly suggest you go to them. These were not made for, well, except for the first two, the PAC meeting plans as well as the program features. They were designed and they've been around for years and years. And so I wanted to point these to you because they're easy to adapt when you're looking to do let me back up here a bit, sorry. When you're looking to do a meeting. So I'll start with the troop ones. And once again, the links are here in the presentation. When I was a scoutmaster and assistant scoutmaster, scouts would come to me and say, oh, how do we, what are we going to do for a meeting? We have to come up with the ideas for it. And so it used to be a binder, in fact, 3 binders, and I would just hand to them and say, listen, there are hundreds of ideas here. Everything from camping and first aid to our backpacking skills, orienteering, wilderness survival. And these program features, if I just take one, I'm one of the first aid trainers for the council. So if I just take this first aid one here, a little brief overview of what it is. It talks about which requirements are met by within these, and it gives you some brief ideas right here. For example, a first aid championship. So it gives you scenarios. So a hiker has tumbled down a steep ridge, scouts find them with one leg bent under them and the ankle apparently deformed. A cut on their left wrist is spurting blood. So you could have your scouts first, give them a minute to come up what would be their plan. So they should be dealing with that bleeding first. And how would they deal with it? You could have a couple of scouts demonstrate it for them using the EDGE method, and you can also get them to practice. So I've been teaching the first aid merit badge virtually with a number of scouts all since this whole thing began. And lots of great ideas right here. It even has a troop meeting plan. So the actual from start to finish, what you need to do, something that's an essential kind of skill, a challenging or advanced depending on your group. So questions are built in right here. It makes it really easy to build out these meetings. So you don't have to reinvent it. The resources are just there. You just have to adapt it. There are some even more advanced things just to show this to you. A little bit harder to do virtually, but for example, on an overnight or longer, it gives, for example, a casualty drill and exactly how to run a casualty drill if something would happen with that. So lots of great, once again, great resources here at the scout level. You don't have to figure this stuff out. I've been handing this out for years to our scouts and our troop. At the cub level, how many of you are familiar with PAC meeting plans? Used to be, you get it annually, the paper book years ago. They're here now online as well. And the same sort of thing, the site here at scouting.org is built around the 12 points of the law. And so, for example, you can pull this up and let's just take abracadabra, a great one. Have a den magic show. Each scout comes up with a magic trick. and presents that online. Once again, all kinds of great ideas right here that you'd have to adapt, but it gives you the fundamentals here of what you want to do here. Once again, it has, you know, I heard about songs being difficult. They are. You know, on the opening closing ceremonies, for example, what we've done is we've had one scout lead it, the rest of them just mouth it as they're doing it. Songs are also difficult, but you can do kind of a do as I do song. So I say something and you get the activities going with the scouts. And I think I've seen most units after the first couple meetings adapting well with that. So once again here, lots of ideas right here for Cubs as well. And then the final place I wanted to point out as a resource is our own council website. So if you go to our council website, you'll see at the top on any of the pages, Scouting at Home right now. And how many of you have been to this site? Just raise your hand. Okay, so yeah, this is a great resource. And so just to take you through it right here, there was questions about, you know, if you want the information on cyber chip requirements, or you want, you know, about any of the events that are happening at the council level, there's a page right there that talks about what's being scheduled or not. Karen mentioned about the campfire program that was there. There's the Get Out and Scout Challenge. So for each of the Cub ranks as well as Scout ranks, this was done for the June, but you can certainly take these and do them again. If I pull up, say, the bear one here, you just load that up quickly. Well, maybe not as quick as I would like. It takes you through the requirements. And so go on a 1 mile walk or hike, identify 6 signs of animals and 6 of birds. And once again, bring that back to your den meeting. You make a list of emergency phone numbers and show you can call for help. That's a great thing to do, to have people demonstrate and reinforce at a den meeting. So these are all kinds of things and ideas that you can do virtually, designed to be virtual. Right now for Cubs, we have not been able to do our Cub summer camps, but we're right in the middle of a whole bunch of virtual Cub camps. So you can still sign up for these and attend them. And I know, just chatting with some of the participants, these were really appreciated and well run. We've been, I haven't had a chance to attend one, but they're hosted right now, but the council's put on some digital den meetings. I don't know how many people have been able to attend those. Karen, I know you've been able to attend.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that, the digital den meeting you attended?
I went because I wanted just to check and see what was out there, and it was awesome. A bunch of the adult leaders got together. They were taking a walk through a park and listening, you know, to birds and pointing out trees and leaves, and coming upon a campsite and what looked wrong with the campsite. What could they do to make it a proper scouting campsite? It was an all built-in meeting. It was like an hour max, maybe about 45 minutes. And it ran the school year. If you haven't taken advantage of it, I would really highly, highly recommend that you do that. They met on Thursday afternoons, like about 5, it was like 5 to 6 or so. It was great. You know what, there's just a real quick question. Can I address this real quick?
Oh yeah,
Here?
I'm sorry, please, go ahead.
All right, it says, does VSA have more restrictive guidance about what can be done in person, or is the only requirement we're meeting county health guidance? I know that our particular troop here in Santa Cruz County, we have been told to go with what our county says. It's hard for our council to come up with guidelines because every county has different guidelines. So we went through our the camping one, and I can share that out as well if you would like, just to see our COVID meeting guidelines for meeting in person guidelines are. But again, they are sticking with what your county is allowing you to do is how you're going to figure out if you can meet in person or not.
Yeah, and once again, I'll add to that. You know, if you have questions for your district key 3 are the people to reach out to. Either your commissioners, your district executive, your district committee chair, because they can point you in the right direction. I know each district has worked really hard on trying to figure out what works and what's allowed in each of them. So those are the people to reach out to in that case.
Hey, before you got off this page, Doug, before you get off this page, right here under general resources right there, advancement considerations and extension progress, that is where you're going to find your latest advancement kind of do's and don'ts and what's available and what you, no, that's not the page I thought I was gonna look
No,
for.
it is here.
Okay.
I think it's going right.
Yeah, right there.
It'll lead you to it.
Yeah. No. So that's where you're going to be able to find the latest of what's available. And right now, all these guidelines are set in place to expire
September 1st?
September 1st, yes. And I really think that our shelter in place is going to go on for a little bit longer. So I'm looking for them to come up with some different ideas and extensions for that.
Once again, let me just point out a couple other things that are right here. Their magic tricks were right here. A 30-day challenge, very similar to the other thing I showed you. There are merit badges for our scouts that are being offered by council. Those fill up really quick, so you have to pay attention to your website and your newsletters. There are other scout programs right here. And once again, even outside scouting, this has a huge list of different kinds of activities you can do with youth. So this once again is a great resource for just getting ideas. And in many cases, people are already doing it for you, so you don't even have to reinvent the wheel. And these are specifically virtual. So I wanted to make sure all of you are aware of these because there are just so many resources. There's no reason a meeting needs to be, boring, the same old thing that's there.
Yeah. Again, flexibility and adaptability are the keys in putting your meetings together.
So we got a few minutes. I just want to give you a chance here. Have any of you ever played Kahoot before? Our scouts really love playing it. It's okay, good. So this is what I'd like you to do is if you have, I assume you have internet access, since you're on the call right here. You can go to the website, which is Kahoot, that's KAHOOT.com. Or it's even, I find it better to play on my, well, you can't see it. I'm trying to see it because it's getting blocked out on my mobile device. So the questions will come up on screen and you actually answer on your mobile device. You can get that at the Apple, just type in Kahoot at the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. It's a free download. Kahoot is our scouts loved it so much that they actually got the committee to buy a subscription to it. You don't have to pay to use it. You can create Kahoots and they'll stay private. It's limited on the numbers. I want to say it was 30, but I'm not sure what the number of participants that could play. We went ahead and bought it because our kids love saving and sharing the games they were coming up with. And once again, you don't have to create them yourself. While you're downloading Kahoot onto your mobile device, so you can play here and just get a sense of what it feels like, you can search for it. So if I search for, just go in here and search for Scouts, you'll see there's games that are pre-created, all ready to go. This is on Boy Scouts. We've got the Boy Scouts game, Scout ranks, basic first aid. We have a Cub Scout quiz here as well. And same thing with Cubs. If I go into Cubs, we got more Cubs leaders on today. So I think we'll do a Cub one. And I haven't seen this, so I'm just pulling one up. Obviously, you want to go through it before you do it. We've got a Cub Scout quiz, Webelos, knife safety for Cub Scouts, a flag quiz, the Cub Scout law, home safety. There's a whole host of things. Once again, you don't have to figure out this. I'm going to just open up the Cub Scout quiz here. Let's see how this is going to work. And as the host, it opens it up, and I'm just going to go straight to play. And you'll see it comes up. And what you're going to get now is you can either on the website, well, let me get right here. You notice you don't have to identify players. We keep all our scouts with what's called the friendly name generator. You'll see when I start it. And I'm going to get what's called a PIN number. So on your device, when you open it up, you can type in the PIN for 8881-709, or in the online if you click play. And I'm going to turn my music off here so I can hear any of you if you have a question. And just go ahead and log in. We'll play for a couple minutes. I see we have somebody logged in, Lively Gecko. That's great. There you go. And once again, you don't have to use Kahoot. In our chat window, some other other games, Scribble.io. I saw it came up there. I saw a couple other ones there. Quizzes.com. So these are our choices. We just our troop had chose Kahoot because it's being used in lots of schools. So they're very familiar with this technology.
Spyfall is another one the girls like.
Perfect. All of them
I've
are
not
great
heard of that
choices. I haven't done Spyfall, but I've heard of Spyfall. I'll give everyone about another minute just to get logged in here if you can. We'll just play a few of the questions. We won't go all the way through it.
I also saw, Doug, that they have Kahoots for merit badges as well. I have some already built in.
Absolutely.
Built up games. That was really a cool idea. You're working on a merit badge with your scouts virtually.
I saw another great idea here, chess.com. It
Yep.
takes a little bit more coordination. Wonderful idea. Perfect. Work just to play games or have a chess tournament. Work on your chess merit badge. So great idea. Okay, last 10 seconds here for people to kind of log in if you want to play. Got about half of you in there, so that's okay. And we're just going to do a few questions here. Okay, Polite Buffalo has joined us. Okay, apologies if you're still trying to get logged in, but we are kind of on a schedule here. So just to give you a sense how it goes. So here are the 12, this has 12 questions. We'll get through a few of them. There's your question, and you'll see as it comes up here on screen, on your handheld, or you'll have these 4 choices. So choose one of them. I see the answers coming in. This is given a really long timer here. So usually it's only about 10 to 15 seconds, but I assume because it's Cubs, they're giving a longer timer. Please note that one reason kids love Kahoot is because it's not only that if you get the question right, but who answers the fastest gets you more points. So I'm going to see here. I don't think everybody's answered yet.
Can you hear me or no? When you
Can
make
hear you,
your
Amber.
own custom ones, you can, you can adjust the time when you make your custom ones, and that's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah, you
make
have
a custom
complete
one.
control of the timing, questions. I'm going to move ahead here and skip just to see. So do your best. Once again, everyone got it right there. Let's just pick another one here. It gives you your scores. So Yellow Bear right now is in the lead. They were the fastest in answering. But once again, this is for Cubs. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead now. Everyone got that one right. Perfect. We'll just do one more. The points are coming up here. You can see how this the scores raise and the people change here as the faster they answer. And we'll do this one as the last one.
As we're waiting, Amber pointed out you could even have the scouts create one for a den meeting for other scouts to try.
Absolutely. I mean, we have our scouts create it themselves. For whatever they're teaching that day, they will review you typically with a game. Okay, so I'll pause here. So I'll get our Yellow Bear. Who's Yellow Bear? There you go, Jim. You're speedy there. Well done. Okay, we'll pause right here. Although you can see everyone's really close behind. So I just want to give you a sense of it, and that's part of it. It's particularly with our den meetings and our troop meetings, patrol meetings, pack meetings. It has to be fun. We didn't really cover the pack meeting portion here, so I'll speak to it quickly as I'm handing back over to Karen. It's got to be something. Whatever you do with your pack meeting, it's going to have to be relatively quiet. It's going to have to be relatively short, because you're not going to keep the younger scouts involved. In general, I have not really seen pack meetings work well, and I apologize that I haven't seen a good example of it. If you want to stick around and share at the end what's worked well, both Karen and I would really appreciate it. But with that, let me hand over back to Karen for the takeaways here.
All right, so some takeaways. Keep your meetings like a regular meeting, opening, closing, make sure your scouts are in uniform, mix up your formats. I just want to touch really quick on this opening and closing. It's really important, even though we're virtual, to keep those openings and closing, doing the whole flag protocol, somebody calling the flags and the honor guard and stuff. And for the scouts themselves to be standing at attention, to be standing up and to be, pledging the flag and pledging the thing. Because I've sat in on some meetings, where the scouts are like this, or they've got their hands upside down, or but they need to be standing at attention, because those habits that they're doing right now will, when we do eventually begin to meet in person, and we will be able to, I firmly believe that, we want to make sure that those good habits are still happening. So
Karen, can I add something to that right there?
Yeah.
It seems a little, in some ways, especially during this crisis that we've had, what I saw with a lot of the scouts is they kind of came back to those things that were the same, that were standard, like the opening, closing, doing the oath, doing the law. That gave them some stability in this crisis, some mental stability in the crisis. So, keeping the meetings as much like a meeting as possible actually has lots of, psychological benefits for the kids.
Yes.
So back to you, Karen.
All right. The next point there is, Doug had mentioned this earlier, just a few minutes ago, is just keep those meetings shorter. You don't have to do a whole hour-and-a-half meeting that you might normally have been doing, but keeping it short, 45 minutes to an hour. That's for Cubs and for Scouts as well. And especially once school starts, it's going to be hard to keep their attention. That they've been virtually. A lot of the schools are going virtual and been virtually learning all day, and then to come in another virtual meeting. So make it fun, keep it short, keep it fun again. And the presenter should be available on early to help with any tech issues. I know that's something that Doug and I try to do with our meetings. We get on early just in case there's issues. Think big. Do things you can't do in a regular troop meeting. Doug's troop recently did an Australian troop, met with an Australian troop. Hey, Doug, can you come talk to that real quick?
Yeah, so Scouts from our troop, we're doing our troops. We have a link troop, both girls and boys, or link troops, doing the Citizenship in the World Merit Badge. And we hooked up with an Australian troop who has a World Citizenship Award. And, we held a meeting. The hardest thing was coordinating the timing. I think we were like 6 p.m. On a Friday, and they were like 4 p.m. on a Saturday, just getting the timings to work for all of us. But the meeting was, let's learn how they, how does their troop operate, and what are their ranks, and what are the kinds of things they do? How do they start and end their meetings? And then we shared, what we did. And it was a great experience. The Scouts eventually became virtual pen pals. So they've been continuing to interact as part of the requirements. So there's lots of things with these kinds of meetings that you can't do in a regular meeting. The next one, inviting speakers from around our country. I think it was Polaris District. There was a troop that invited their state representative to join in for 15 minutes on a question and answer for citizenship in the nation. And once again, to get a state representative, a member of the state house, to come normally would be hard because there's travel time. You know, we're talking hours here. But to coordinate and just have them come in for 15 minutes in a virtual environment is real simple. We've coordinated with our troop with things on doing, how do we do better kinds of community service? And we had someone come in from another troop and share what they did. So you can do much more things with the virtual meetings that you can't do in a normal one, because it's just faster and easier in some cases.
Yeah. Awesome, thanks, Doug. So if you're working on scout skills, making sure that your scouts or cubs have the materials they need, like if they're working on knots, making sure they know ahead of time. Make sure that you have your 12 inches of rope or however long. If you're working on first aid skills, you know, make sure you bring your bandage or whatever it is. Make sure that the scouts have what they need for the skills that you're going to be covering that day in the meeting. The next one. And that just goes with make sure you come to the meeting prepared. If the older scouts are presenting and they've put together a little PowerPoint presentation, making sure that the scoutmaster or whoever's running the meeting gets that ahead of time so that they can load it in. In our troop, we don't share the screen with scouts because we have a bunch of younger scouts who like to play. So we just shut that off. So we make sure that the adult gets that. Keep your meetings interesting. Find ways to encourage your scouts. Keeping with the Scoutmaster and Cubmaster minutes. I know somebody had mentioned that earlier. And consider starting off your meetings with an icebreaker. This is something I do in my troop, is while we're waiting for everybody to get on, I ask the scouts, what did you do for a good turn today? And it just keeps scouting forefront in their mind so that they're always thinking about what can they do to be able to share. Okay.
Okay. So our next slide was just kind of going back to the questions that you guys had. And, you know, I'll put them back up on screen here. You know, we haven't covered really PAC meetings enough. Karen, did you want to talk about anything you've seen with PAC meetings?
You know, I haven't really seen a PAC meeting in person and stuff, but I think that there's just no reason why you couldn't use some of these fun games and ideas to incorporate into that, into your PAC meetings. They're a little bit harder because they are larger, as somebody had mentioned. They have 80 to 90 scouts at a meeting. That's a lot of people to kind of finagle and to work around.
Yeah,
go
ahead, Amber.
For our last PAC meeting. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it is better.
We had our last PAC meeting, and I think actually one of our PAC members is on the call, and it's her idea, Beth. She said, let's do something with Morse code, and we just did a little bit of searching around the internet, and I had to pay a whole $1 for it, but it was an activity sheet, I don't know if you can see it, but it had all of it worked out for you with the data, and so it was sort of like an activity sheet, and I had them go into their ranks, because since we only have them, so all into ranks, we worked on it together, and then when we came back, I had put out in my slideshow what was going to be our summer raffle, and it was that we were going to do a hiking raffle. So I did all the Morse code.
I think we lost you there a little bit, Amber.
Yeah, Amber, you're freezing up here. Could you just put that website in the chat notes for everybody so that they could access it if they're interested in that? Because you've frozen up fully, Amber, now. We lost a lot of what you said, Amber. You're now back, but you're still breaking up. So just put that in the chat notes. Let me hand back to, and Karen and I are happy to stay on and talk about some more ideas about, especially for PAC meetings or any of the additional questions you have. But as we're running out of time right now, let me hand back to Karen to let her just share a thought here that she ran across before.
All right. Recently, when this whole COVID situation had started, I sat in on a training, and one of the adults had wrote this in the chat window, and it just really resonated with me. And it's something that I've tried to encourage my troops and scouts and leaders towards, and this thought. And it reads, you can read it there, I'm going to read it for you. Won't it be amazing in 5, 8 to 10 years from now, when your scout is making their Eagle Scout or Summit Award speech, they refer to the time when their den scout crew leaders and parents kept the promise of scouting and didn't let this time of COVID-19 affect them, but instead prepared them to come out on the other side stronger and braver. And that's what I really feel like that we should be working towards.
So we are out of time. I want to thank all of you for joining in on your Saturday, your weekend here. If you'd like to reach out to us, we're going to stay on here after, both Karen and I, to discuss and have questions.
Absolutely.
More than happy to. But these are our email addresses. We'll be sending out links to this presentation as well as recordings early next week. It'll come out, I think, through council. So with that, thank you once again on behalf of Karen and I, and please use all those resources that we have. And have a great
thanks
weekend.
Everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, Doug.
We'll stay on. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, good.
So Karen and Doug, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So how do you keep the actual den leaders engaged? That's what I struggled with our pack over this whole COVID time. I had my Webelos, because I'm Cub Master and Webelos are now AOL den leader. And I had to switch my days on my Cubs because I was having to help with the troop, which that found a little bit difficult with one of the parents. Well, first when I said, hey guys, can we meet? No, my kids are zoomed out. 2 parents, no. So I only had, okay, well, out of 5 Webelos, I had commitment of 3, one of them being my child. But then, as I went along, then I had one parent says, well, how come you moved it to Thursday? We can't make Thursdays. They said, well, you said you weren't interested in the first place.
Oh gosh.
So, but then, my wolf bear leader dropped the ball and just did nothing. So I was reaching out to those parents saying, hey, this is what you can do. But, but I just couldn't, I didn't have the capacity to try and run everything myself.
Absolutely.
So
we've seen the same thing across this. It varies from different units. Obviously, the things I've learned from it are a couple-fold. I've seen, of course, the older zoomed out is a common excuse. Both Karen and I have heard.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, I don't know how to do the technology. It's just I'm not technologically adept. Is the other big objection I've heard as well. And so on the technology piece, that's where you reach out to your district leadership, because I know every commissioner group is saying, you need someone to help you run a meeting and get you going on this. We will step in and we'll help you run the meeting and teach you how to do it. Karen did that fantastically with one of our troops that was saying, I'm not very technologically adept. They don't want to meet. And that just takes some skill at finding, both with yourself and with that den, finding that person like you were trying to run it and realizing you're not going to get everybody to show up. It's not going to happen. If a kid's zoomed out, they're zoomed out, whether that's true or false. And so rather than look at, we're not getting the kind of attendance, are you getting any scouts showing up? And is it creative? And then you're going back and reaching out on a regular basis and maybe once a month and saying, hey, we had these great meetings. And just look and say, well, here's ones we're having success with. So I would love to say there's the perfect formula for it. There isn't. Just look at the successes you get. Karen, you want to add on to that?
No, well, one of the first trainings that I sat in on, and this is just mostly for scouts, because I think you're talking about leaders there, but this is for scouts who are not interested in being part of it, is right now is that we need to be okay with that, still reaching out and doing what we can for them, but keeping those scouts that are there, keeping that, I keep on the scouting ball rolling forward for them. And so that they're not missing out on those rank advancements and those requirements for the Cubs that they need to get signed off on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then one thing that I do is I share those ideas when I see these good ideas. I'm on my Facebook page, on our district Facebook page, and sharing those ideas out so that other people. So I'm not sure. Do you, if you're in Polaris, you said?
No, I'm in Coyote
Creek.
Coyote Creek. You know, who manages your Facebook page, but maybe getting some of those ideas and sharing those ideas when you have those successes, or even those failures, like, hey, we tried this today and it didn't work, but hey, but look at what we did today. And so that I feel like that inspires all the, wow, that's cool.
And I've had the opposite happen. That's why these resources we pointed out, like the Scouting at Home page, because I've had den leaders come to me and say, our PAC's really not being supportive. And I say, okay, well, you know what? Here, go to the council's digital den meeting, or use those kinds of resources to get that. So if you have a leader who says, well, I don't have time to do this, which I get, we're all busy. I seem to do more meetings now than I did before. Then say, okay, well, here's a resource. You don't have to do anything for it. Just go on, look at that, make sure it works for you, and then just use that to host your den meeting. It's recorded, and pause it at that point, and then have the scouts talk about, the kids talk about what they would have done in that circumstance. So,
I'm trying my best to send out information that for the Camp Inside Out, and when we were doing, I was helping Diane, and the other group with some of the ideas for the digital den meetings, and and I'm sending that out.
Thank you.
Trying to say, hey, let's, and even one of the other councils in Ohio, my daughter attended that, one of those, and same with my son. So, spring break, they had one. So I was just trying to capture anything to keep them
engaged. Yeah, no, and I get that. It's the same with, our troop. It's who can we get to teach a merit badge, and
right.
So beyond that, just to keep those that group pushing ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, hey.
Off and on struggle, so we're doing our best. That's the biggest thing.
that is.
Well, like you said, like once again, if you're helping any, even a small number of scouts, it's that has a huge effect. So it's put the head down and just carry on.
Yeah. Okay, well, don't be discouraged. You're doing what you can, and if you need to change, and if somebody is not available,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just be encouraged. You're doing great. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for getting all this out there for all of us to help us.
You bet. Our pleasure. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Well, take it easy.
You too. Right. Good to see you again, Trina. Thanks.
Good to meet you, Trina.
Bye. Okay.
All right.
Harder because it was just Cubs. This was mostly Cubs here. So the PAC thing I don't have solved.
Yeah, I don't either.
I've never gone to a good PAC meeting yet. I've only been to a couple of them, but they were and everyone said, let's just do den meetings. So,
other than that digital den meeting, that was the only Cub thing that I participated in. So, oh, you know what? Hold on, I stopped it.